Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our session today known as Stretching Right, Recover Faster, and Perform Better. My name is Sashi, and accompanied with me is Felicia here from Corporate Wellness Trainer. So now I'm going to head on to pass this session over to Felicia for her to start it off, and we can have this conversation a lot better later on. Back to you, Felicia.
All right, thank you so much, Sashi. And welcome
Welcome
everyone to be
to be
here.
here.
Also,
Also,
we have
we have
very interesting
very
session.
interesting session.
Bias,
Bias,
bio chat
bio chat.
session, so it wouldn't be too formal. And but before we get started, we this is something that to help you to recover faster and perform better at your work. And before we get right into that, we will have some housekeeping. So passing on back to you, Sashi.
Okay, sure. So let's talk about some of the things that we want to make sure that happen smoothly all the way throughout this session today. So number one, make sure that you're using a supported browser, right? So that you can actually see us and hear us throughout the session. Ensure that the internet connection is good, so you don't break down and there is no breakups and all the stuff. Test the speaker out, see whether you can hear us clearly, and make sure the setting is good before the webinar starts and everything is working on correctly. If you're having any kind of difficulties, you can start. You can try to rejoin the webinar, or you can try to refresh the browser, right? But if nothing of that works, you can always send us a message at Naluri Events, and the team will be able to assist you. Okay, so ask your questions, participate in polls. This is something that we want to encourage everyone to do. We want it to be a very interactive session. Hi, morning, Charles. Right, share your thoughts in the chat box as well. If you want to address myself or Felicia, you can always add the @ in the front and mention our names, and we're more than happy to address it personally. And if you want to remain anonymous, you can actually have an option to tick that says send private message. And when you do that, we will not mention your name, right? So we will probably read out your questions, but we will not mention who is it coming from. You will certainly receive this whole slide deck after the end of the webinar. We'll send it to you in a PDF format. And at the end as well, we will be asking you for some poll on how we did in this webinar, and we would expect you to give us your most honest feedback so we could improve ourselves as well. Okay? And yes, Felicia, back to you now.
All right, thank you so much, Sashi, for the housekeeping. I hope everybody is ready. Just a quick introduction. Hi, my name is Felicia, and I'm actually a wellness educator and a corporate trainer for close to about 15 years now. And I've been working with professionals and individuals across the industries to actually just help people to not just, in the wellness aspect, like manage stress, having a work-life balance, and just very passionate in terms of helping people to build really simple habits. Like today, we're going to learn about stretching, so we're just going to get right into that, and overall, just helping to boost employee engagement. So really glad to be here, and with me, Sashi, this is over to you to introduce yourself.
Right, thank you, Felicia. And I think, it is a very important skill for us to also know how we want to incorporate wellness inside working place, right? And I think Felicia, no one else is better to explain to us on that. But I myself has been in this wellness or fitness scene for the past 25 years. I started in 2001, early 2001. So which means in another 6 months, I'm going to complete my 25 years in the industry, and I've actually premiered a lot of talks when it comes to medical fitness, and also one of the pioneers in Malaysia who actually get myself engaged in wellness fitness as well. Medical fitness, we call it. It's a new field. And I also teach a lot of athletes in the past in regards of sports nutrition. And even though I specialize in biomechanics, but because of the number of requests that comes in that says that people want to lose weight and get into a strength and conditioning requirement and all this stuff, I took up that as one of my specialties as well. So a vast experience, have worked with a lot of people, and I hope that today I can also share whatever that I've learned in the past 25 years to ensure that all of you actually benefit from it as well. Okay, and with that, I would like to know how often do you stretch during your workday? Maybe we can get the poll up.
Okay, we are seeing some answers already. How often do you stretch during your workday?
Interesting. So we've got 63% of the audience have answered. So perhaps the rest, you can just start clicking quite fast, and then we can see overall what's happening with all our participants, all of our audience here today. 70%, we're almost there. 73, that's going on fast. We're getting there. Perhaps for another 30 seconds more. Just 30 seconds more. We have 20 seconds to go. I do sound like a fitness coach when I say that, right? 20 seconds to go. And I think everybody would have just, I've realized it myself when I said it.
And it's never that one last rep, always the
Yeah,
extra.
yeah, that's right. Okay, so we had 80% mark. I think, thank you so much. And Felicia, like what we can see is that people actually do stretch 1 to 2 times in a day, right? Majority of them, 60% of the group does that. I think then it falls to your specialty then. Like, what do you think about this? Like, I know that you worked with a lot of corporate companies before, and I'm
Mhm.
sure that you met a lot of people from different status or different tiers of working expertise, right?
Mhm.
So, what is your take on this? It looks pretty good though.
Yeah, I would say that the awareness is there definitely. Due to, of course, we just went through like a whole COVID and pandemic work from home state, right? So, I think a lot of us are more aware that we should be able to, when we know like the facts, like the fun fact of like sitting is definitely the new smoking. When you sit more than 30 minutes, definitely we are doing that right now. We are sitting in front of the computer like most of us are working, even though in the office or from home, we are still staring at the computer, we're still sitting, and I think that's that awareness that people are looking to, just maybe they don't really understand like how to what stretches do, but they know, okay, I do need to stand up, I do need to like at least go grab water, just do something, right? So I feel like that's where the awareness comes from definitely being having that during the COVID work from home state. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so too. Because naturally, from
So
my
that's my
end,
take on that.
sure. Thank you so much, Felicia. It was a little bit of a
Mm.
glitch earlier. Yeah, no problem. I think that's a good take, right? Because when people come to me usually and they speak to me about uh, whether it's ergonomic exercises or whether it's a chair stretch, a desk stretch, right? I've got a very good tip for this, right? So I always tell people to time yourself 5 to 10 minutes every hour. So when we look at that way of stacking your habit, right? So every hour of work or every hour of sitting, you get into 5 or 10 minutes of doing something, right? So when we look at that aspect, we ideally want about 5 to 6 times of stretching per workday, right? But I think 1 or 2 is not bad. 1 or 2 is definitely a good start, right? But
Mhm.
my take from a fitness perspective, what happens to your body is that when you sit too long, you your metabolic rate actually drops tremendously. Stiffness of the body actually increases greatly, and doing something every 1 hour actually helps you to overcome that quite effectively.
Right. And also I think Muhammad mentioned like the results are private. Maybe we can just read out the polls as well, so that they are also aware that how many percent actually voted for never doing a stretch during the workday. That's actually 22% of you. And then there's also 59% that actually do 1 or 2 times. And 19% of the participants are actually doing 4 to 5 times stretching during the workday. Yeah. So just to give you a good Just to give you a gauge. Yeah, that's really a good tip for sure. Sashi, definitely, we do need to, whether it's a quick desk stretch or whether it's like a deep stretch. I think it's really important because that will definitely help to actually improve your, definitely not just your physical but also mental as well. All right. So let's move on to the next one. All right. So, what do you think? So, based on the poll, do you think that most people actually do not stretch enough? So, because we discussed like you stretch 1 or 2 times, but what are the misconception about stretching? What do you
Yeah.
think? Your perspective?
Okay. Yeah. So I think stretching has always been put in a category of exercise, right? So everybody takes stretching as exercise, right? And when you take it as an exercise, then it appears as a task, right? Because not many people like to exercise, right? Felicia, and I know that, and I know that probably in your field, you have probably seen a lot of people come to your talks and they sit down and they listen to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And movement is very, very minimal. Movement is extremely minimal, right? So the idea of you to move actually tells your brain, or most people take it as an assumption that it is exercising, but exercising is movement, right? So exercising is you moving your body that elevates your heart rate to a certain extent. So that's a very high level definition of exercising. But stretch actually doesn't do that, right? Stretch actually don't require you to move, and it doesn't elevate your heart rate to that extent for an extended period of time. So when we take that off our mind that stretching is exercising, which is the misconception that a lot of people actually have, then it helps you to literally look at it as a thing that you should be doing. Like you should eat every day, like you should sleep every day, right? So you should also stretch every day. So it's basically just a normal bodily function to allow the body to operate in its most optimum way. And that is the reason why, number one, I think that point that is on the slide here that says that most people don't stretch enough during work days, and that's actually contributed by the fact that stretching is assumed to be an active exercise, which is actually not, right? It gets you ready to one, it helps you to recover from one, but it doesn't actually do one, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely, because I also see that because people always think that it's that 1 hour of exercise after work, whether it's going to the gym or currently now everybody's into pickleball. That is always construed as like, oh, that's where I actually stretch or move, right? But it's actually very it's very I think it's mis is being misinterpreted as well. As well as a misconception that, oh, okay, it only matters before after a workout, and then when you do a stretching on the desk, it does not serve any purpose. So why bother, right? So and another one I've heard also as well, it has to hurt to work. Stretching only is only effective when it hurts. So what do you think about it?
Well, certainly not, right? Certainly not. And there are multiple ways of stretching that we have, and hurting is very subjective because if I am a frequent uh, yoga goer, if I do stretch myself quite frequently, what hurts for me could be something impossible for someone else to even try on, right? And for someone who is a beginner, also for someone who is advanced of a beginner, what hurts for me might not necessarily hurt for someone else, right? So to feel hurt is so we sense our achievements through a few ways, right? So one is auditory. We hear someone tell us, hey, you've done a good job, right? And then visual, we look at someone and we say, hey, you know what, I'm actually doing pretty good, I look better now, right? And then we also feel connecting movement, and we also feel pain as receptor. So all these senses are telling us that we have achieved something, right? So when people commonly say that I have to feel pain to tell me that I've done a good stretch, it's also a sense of accomplishment for them to say that that pain actually equates to me have done it properly, right? But at most times it becomes better and better, and as we adapt ourselves to eating spicy food. In the beginning it's really really spicy, you need a lot of water to cool yourself down. But as you eat more and more and more spicy food, it doesn't make the spicy food less spicy, it just makes you more adaptive to it, right? So the same thing goes to structures. At the beginning it probably is a little bit more harder to do it, a little bit more painful to do it, but as you continuously do it, it becomes very easy and it becomes part of your daily routine, right?
Right.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess I guess that's basically what it is for me.
That's great. Definitely, when you say, yeah, definitely we are talking about busting some myths, right? And then you also share your experience as well. And then we are seeing some of the really interesting questions, which we'll definitely answer. I think we will keep it to the Q&A so that to get it flowing as well. Definitely, what I can get from your sharing is the takeaway is that is adaptation, right? So something that is and everybody will be doing different. Like, yeah, if you're into yoga, definitely your flexibility will be much better. And if
Mhm.
for someone like me, I actually enjoy running a lot. So stretching for runners is like usually the last thing that you would think about. So when you ask us to do like stretching, be like, the tight muscles and everything. So definitely yoga helps. If that is something that if people are looking for, it's also part of a really good stretch. But we will have a lot of all these different questions that's coming in. And it's very interesting. Later, we can suggest, what are the suitable exercise that we can do, or stretching. Can regular stretching help to lose weight? So we'll definitely see common patterns seen in our clients and also office worker. Of course, we want to figure out what are the benefits and why do we do it, right? So definitely, we will go on to the next slide. Okay, so this is very interesting. We're going to do another poll. Why do you usually stretch? Okay, now let's take the next 1 minute to probably take a vote, quick vote, and then we will dive into it as we will definitely look into your questions and we will answer them during the Q&A as well. All right. So just now, you shared something about, uh, like for me, like I shared about like the running and then doing the stretching post running for pain relief, right? So some people would think that, oh, okay, stretching is something for me to warm up before the workout or cool down after the workout. So we would also like to know that why do you usually stretch? What is your reasoning behind, like when you want to attempt a stretch? Right, seeing some really interesting answers.
Me too. So nodding my head, looking at the poll.
Yeah. Yeah, we're taking down all the questions for sure. Thank you so much, Zuraimi, Adrian, Karanisa, Rafida. Yep, definitely we will all be answering your questions during the Q&A. So while we're waiting for the poll, 60% have voted. Okay, I think very close. Okay, very, very close. Top two for sure now. Okay, we just give it another maybe 30 seconds.
Sure.
All right.
Okay, we're almost there. I think we can get a few more people to just answer through. That's
And
going
I,
to help us. Yeah.
and I saw like a really, really interesting comment as well. Like neither of the three choices, but just to say flexible and healthy. All right. That's the point. Okay. All right. Should we review the poll?
Sure.
Okay, great. So let's see. So 35% of you say that warm up is why you usually stretch. 12% of you say is for cool down, meaning post workout. And interestingly, 54% of the participants say that is for pain relief. So stretching, you relate stretching to helping you to relieve your pain. Okay, all right. So what do you think, Sashi?
I think everything is correct, right? I don't. say anything. But the good thing is that what I found from here is that a lot of people are actually experiencing some sort of a pain. And if the 53% of all the people who have answered actually wants pain relief, then I think later on today we can actually discuss a little bit more on what stretch could and how stretch could actually help in pain relief. I think that's a very good one. That's a
Okay.
very good one.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on to the next one. And okay, a quick another poll. How often do you usually stretch? Let's take another poll before we get into the real deal, right? The actual demo.
Yeah, yeah. And this is usually stretch all the time,
Okay.
not at work.
How
Yeah, not at
often? Okay, this one is quite easy, quite straightforward. Yeah, very quickly. Everybody is answering already. Uh, okay. All right. I think we can all agree that it's most of us or most of the participants say is sometimes, but it's very close to frequently. Lah. All right. So sometimes. All right. Yeah. That's usually like we think about, oh, if I remember to do it, I'll do it, right? If I want to relieve a pain, I'll probably do it. So yeah, that reflects on the last poll as well. Okay.
That's right. That's right.
All right. So okay. So let's not just talk about uh, how often do you stretch and why do you stretch. Let's talk about why stretching matters.
Hmm.
All
Okay,
right.
I think perhaps a little bit on this. I think this covers a few things that they have mentioned earlier in some of the posts, right, Felicia? Like someone says, reduces pain and stiffness is definitely something that we want to work on. But I can share maybe my insight in all these years that I've actually met people doing stretching, and I can perhaps share a little bit here and there, and then maybe you too, Felicia, can share your experience in working with people, right? Like I want to touch on single points, and every single point in this. Primarily on the one that is the bigger ones on the stretching benefits, right? Um, Boost blood flow, improve posture. I think improved posture is something that a lot of people possibly would have heard of, right? So when I stretch, my body gets taller. I feel taller. I feel more in line with my posture, and I have less pain in my neck and stuff like that. But I don't know if a lot of people have heard that when you stretch, you actually boost your blood flow, right? You actually do boost your blood flow. So when we talk about physiological adaptation to stretching, when you actually stretch, what happens is that the elongation or the flexibility of your muscles, or we call it the eccentric motion, right? The eccentric motion of your muscle actually allows more blood to flow into it. So what happens to it then? You basically build vascularity, which is one of the strong points for you to prevent high blood pressure, right? So vascularity creates artery flexibility, artery wall flexibility, increases stroke volume and blood flow, which gives you both benefit of working a little bit more better on your heart, and also it works on giving a little bit more benefit on working on your arteries as well, and your blood vessels. So just a simple stretch like 5 minutes a day or 10 minutes a day, that's going to give you a lot of benefit when it comes to having resilience against high BP, right?
Wow.
So I think, yeah, so that I think this is something that a lot of people have not
Okay.
possibly thought of, but there are very high significance to it. Perhaps your experience on this, Felicia?
In we deal with important decisions, we deal with back-to-back meetings. For sure, you talk about all the different metabolic syndrome, high blood pressure, high sugar. Of course, a lot of it is based on what we eat as well, as also our lifestyle and how we move our body as well. So definitely a good point on like stretching is so underrated. If you can just take away that from your sharing, that it can actually help you to improve your high blood pressure as well. So of course you have to be looking at also your own personal condition and also refer back to your doctor as well. Definitely, but the second one for sure, I would say I think most of us will be able to relate to this. Stretching is not just about muscle, and when you say boosting blood flow, improve posture, we talk about it also helps us to sharpen our focus and mental clarity. So imagine that we are tight and stiff, that's definitely around the neck, around the shoulder, our energy deep, and we are trying to grab the extra cup of coffee for the day. Our attention vapor already sound very familiar, right? Like during back-to-back meetings and important decisions that you have to make throughout the day as well. So definitely when you say stretching not only work for you short term, like instant relief, but it also works for us long term because it supports recovery. And then I'm sure that you agree with me on this. If we, the more frequent that we stretch, we actually also prevent injury, right? And yeah, so Sashi, what does a good recovery to you? Question, just a quick question. What does a good recovery look like to you when someone stretches right?
Okay, so when we talk about this, Felicia, like I agree with everything that you say, right? Those are very very cool points. A recovery basically, so we need to understand how our body recovers. So when we do any kind of exercises, we have the eccentric and the concentric motion of your muscle, which moves back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, right? So that is like a rubber band, right? So when you pull a rubber band many times and you let go, it shortens, right? Because it heats up, it cools down, heats up, it cools down, right? So it shortens. So if you want to maintain it functioning at its optimum level, you got to stretch it a little and hold it for a specific period of time. Then it comes back to its normal stage. Similar thing happens to your muscle as well. So when it does that, when it stretches and shortens, what happens to your body is that your muscle will then get into a very cramped place that your movements will start to become limited. So stretching actually gives that a little bit of a benefit for it to move a lot more effectively, right? And also on the point that you mentioned earlier, it's a very good point on sharpens focus and mental clarity. So we need to understand why that can do. So when you stretch, it actually activates the parasympathetic nervous system, right? So the parasympathetic nervous system is responsible for relaxation. Okay, it also helps with your rest and digest functions, right? So what it does is that it brings you to a very calm state of mind, and that is the one that actually improves your focus and gets your stress off the way, right? So just a little bit of sharing, Felicia. Back to you.
I love that. All right. So I think everybody's like, I'm cracking while I'm stretching. Is that normal? And definitely when you talk about, having, when we hold on the stretch, Benjamin brought up a really good point. Yes, stretching to help us to release when we do. So, without further ado, we will jump straight into a live demo where Sashi is going to guide us through a mix of a quick. We're going to pick a few. I don't know which one is going to pick. I'm quite excited to mirror you as well. Some quick desk stretches. So no fancy equipment. Everybody, I mean, we can't see you, but hopefully you're doing it with us. Just be where you are, just in your chair, and then we will just lead you through. Sashi will lead you through the quick stretches, and I will follow through. I will follow him as well.
Okay, sure. I would love to, Felicia. Right. So let's start with the first one. Let's start with the neck roll, right? Everybody knows how to do a neck roll. Right, but I'm going to share you a little bit about what neck roll is and why certain things are considered a no-no, right? So in a normal, when I look at people normally doing neck rolls, I see them doing this, right? This is a neck roll, right? I see them doing this, which is a normal thing. But do you know that staring up back this way and rolling your neck actually puts a lot of pressure on your spine bone, right? So the easiest way for you to do a neck roll while you're at work is to turn one side. Like example, I'm turning to my left now, is to turn one side, look down, right? Make sure that you feel the stretch. So turn one side, look down, and roll downwards all the way to the other side, and then look up, and then look down, and then roll downwards to the other side, and then look up. Okay, so that is a lot more beneficial to you than rolling your neck 360 degrees, right? So that's number one. Number two, let's look at shoulder shrugs since it's easier to be done when you're seated. Okay, so when you talk about shoulder shrugs, usually people do this, right? But let me just teach you what is the best way to do shoulder shrugs. Is first Oh, number one, Shazana, you missed that out. Okay, so I'll do again. I'll do again. Okay, so this one I can't do later. I'm going to do it now. Right? So you look at one side, and then you look down, and then you roll all the way down, and then you look up, and then you look down, and then you roll the other way up and look up. Right? So you do about 5 times. That's more than enough, right? Then let's go for the second one, which is a shoulder shrug. So yeah, so shoulder shrug, usually what people do is that they just shrug themselves up, right? But shrugging yourself up this way is going to give you more pain, right? Where it actually brings your shoulder tighter to your chest. So your chest is already tight because you're typing all the time. So there's a big pull of your chest and your shoulder inwards this way, right? So when you look at the side, if your shoulder is not open, if your shoulder is this way, then you're actually in a very bad postural deviation. So we get to repair that. So how you're going to do it is that you got to open up your chest, right? You got to open up your chest, and you got to drop your shoulder as far as possible from your ears, right? So open up the chest, drop it as far as possible from the ears. So you get to get into this position first. Then you have a lot of scapular engagement, right? So open up, drop. So when you get the scapular engagement, then you shrug. Your shrug has to go all the way up, pointing towards your ears, right? So it does go up and down. So that's why you shrug, right? So your chest opens up, so you shrug up. And then you down, right? So when you're shrugging up, you got to hold for about 1-2 seconds. Just go up. So open up, shrug all the way up, hold 1-2 seconds, drop, right? Head in, don't forward, head in, right? So that actually helps. Okay. So just push yourself. So if you feel that you can't, just put 2 fingers and push yourself in. That's tucking in, right? So you're tucked in, and then you open up your chest, and then you go all the way up, hold, and then drop, right? So that's shrugging. Um, Third one, maybe the last one, the spinal twist, right? So when you are in this position, typing all the time, similar to scapular shrugs, exactly. Same exercise, different word, right? Um, so when you go to seated spinal twist, basically what it means is that you got to make sure that your mobility of your spine is a lot more, because you're in one direction. Your hip flexors become very very tight. Your extensors become very very loose. So which means that you can't um, get into a position where your movement is quite good, right? So when you get up, you feel the stiffness on your back. You always go like that. So that's a normal reason why that happens, is because of that mobility of the spine itself. So all you got to do is, again, open up your chest and drop it. So when you open up your chest and you drop your shoulder, you get into a very very neutral position, and the curvature of your spine is actually at this neutral stuff, right? So you can either put your hand here, you can put your hand up here, and just twist all the way, not just your torso, right? So you twist it all the way. Your head face the opposite direction as far as possible. So when you're twisting it and you're looking as far as possible, and that gives you a good stretch, right? And that gives you a good stretch. Okay, so that one is basically what we are looking at when it comes to spinal twist. I guess that probably I've given you some sort of a relief. You feel a little bit more refreshed. So I'm gonna head it off to Felicia to continue with this then.
Right. I'm also learning some new ones, like refresh a bit of my memory about like making sure that your spine is neutral and your chest, you're not like, bringing in like, good posture. We are reminded by that. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think, of course, we can only show you a few type of stretches. And it's up to us also practice it. So maybe later on we'll be sharing like how many reps or how often do you suggest we actually do these stretches. I mean, we can do it throughout the day, but I'm sure they will be have more questions like when do we do it, right? But I also am curious, out of the many stretches, I would like to ask the participants as well, which one did your body need most today? I'm sure that you have all, attempted the demo like I did. So which one did your body needed most today? Whether it's the neck rolls, shoulder shrug. Okay, I'm seeing some answers. Great. Yeah, unlearn and relearn what our PE teacher taught us when we were in school, right? So we just twist and turn everywhere, like loosen up everything, but there's actually science to it, right? All of it, Masura said, right? Yeah, seated, forward fold, all of the above for sure. Spinal twist, I feel so much better now. Great, shoulder, yeah, because obviously, like Sashi mentioned just now, we are all usually seated down and looking at the computer and we get all this neck tension, shoulder tension, all of it when you attempt all these different quick stretches, you definitely feel the instant relief as well. Great, thank you so much, Tirta, Zurami, Raja, and Liana say all of it, right? So great. Okay, so let's just reflect, some tools and takeaways. So of course, your body. I will always say your body is your equipment. I'm sure Sashi also agrees. But of course, we can always use recovery tools that will able to help you, like foam roller, massage gun, resistant band, whichever is more convenient for you, whether at the gym or your house or during your travel. Like bringing your, obviously you can't bring heavy stuff, but you can always bring something that is travel friendly as well. And then you can pair it with tools like a lot of it, like breath work, mobility drills, and active rest. I think that is something that those are things that will actually enhance your further recovery as well. So I'm sure that you have tried some of these and also maybe perhaps want to try. Then there's a load of, I'm sure, from Naluri as well. And also you can also use the resources of the internet to actually help you to learn how to actually use these tools and practice it in your daily routine, not just your workday, but daily life. All right, let's move on to the next one. Learn some of the why you stretch and how often you stretch, and you have gone through the demo with us as well. How do you feel? Can you describe it in one word? Great. Joanny say great. I feel great as well. So definitely chest is more open up. I feel like blood flow. Maybe my blood pressure reduced a little bit as well. So I hope that's regulated. Robin say fresh. Teenage says relief. You feel stretch. Akila, great. So yeah, so that's what we want, right? So from these quick stretches, it give you a short term uh, benefit, but in the long run, when you do it consistently, when you perform it consistently, you also reap the benefits as well, right? Awesome. And is it possible to show the wrist stretch? Do we have one, maybe 30 seconds to kind of just show a quick
Uh,
wrist stretch? Yeah, let's give them a little bit
sure.
bonus, right? Okay.
No problem. So our wrist stretch gives us benefit in our fingers, and for people who are on the laptop at most times, you get very stiff fingers, okay? And your fingers are actually connected to your muscles around here on your forearm, right? So when you move and you grab your forearm hard and you move your fingers, you feel that your forearm is hardening, right? So that actually means that your forearms are controlling the strength of your fingers. So when you do a stretch here, the muscle that connects to your arm here all the way to here is the one that works, right? So basically, you're stretching this muscle, but using your arm to stretch it, right? So there is a few ways to do it, right? And I'm going to touch one of the things that I read earlier about static and dynamic. I want to touch on that a little later, maybe in the Q&A. But for this stretch, all you got to do is three movements, right? So we have one movement, which is all the way up. I see a lot of people do this, right? And doing this literally means that you have more flexibility and you're forcing yourself to go beyond, right? But if you can't, all you got to do is that you just put your hand on the table edge. So let's say this is the table edge. You put the hand on your table edge and then you just force it in, right? So you just put your hand on the table edge, you just force it in. So you can even do it standing. That's absolutely right, right? So I can't push it down, but that's basically what it is. So one is going up direction. So when you do it here, you actually work on the inner muscle here, right? When you do it here, you work on the outer muscle here. So you go down and you hold that, and then you go up and you hold that. That's two. I told you there's three total, right? Another one is to do overall. So you start with this, and then you go up, and then you finish with this. So you start with this, you go up, and then you finish with this, right? So that is the dynamic part. I'll touch on that later. Yep.
All
So that's
right.
a quick
Thank
one.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sashi. Learning something. Okay, you can put not only this one, you can use the your table as well. Great, awesome. All right. I hope you all benefited from that, and we will touch on maybe how many times that we need to do it, or maybe it's a 30 seconds, and we repeat a couple of times, and as long as you feel, I guess it's about how your body feels as well. Yeah, do it according to your own comfort as well, right? All right, great. Okay, so we have a next poll. So before we will go into the Q&A shortly, what will you commit to doing after today? Right. So we want to see you quickly using your fingers. May not be so much of a stretching, but it's just like a finger exercise. Stretch daily. Try a tool that we mentioned earlier. It's just using your body as your equipment, whether it's using a foam roller, whether it's using a massage gun, whether it's joining a yoga session, move more or learn more. Right. So I think we have quite a parent winner. I feel like uh, everybody is like, okay, I'm gonna, start stretching daily and moving more. I think we can all agree on that. Right. That's great. Good to hear. Okay. Yeah, for sure. Stretching is a very underrated um, movement. It may complement your exercise. It may not be an exercise, but for some of us who are probably just starting, let's say you're I'm reading also through the comments. If you're recovering from injury, if let's say you have a condition, you can definitely start with stretching. And there's never a right or wrong way, or never like you have to follow someone else or compare yourself to your beginning is where you start now, from wherever you are, right? Great. Okay, so we are seeing lots of comments. I'll pass it back to Sashi to share that a little bit more.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Felicia. Right, I think the poll was wonderful, right? Like I see a lot of people want to start stretching daily, so I think we did make an impact to a certain extent to give you all some idea, and we're going to touch on the Q and A. Don't worry. But before we get to the Q and A, I'm just going to let you know what is really available for all of you. And in that way, you can also reach out to us if it's needed. Number one, I'm going to talk about the Naluri text line. So you have text lines where you can actually text us via WhatsApp, right? So that number is actually available there. So you can text us at any point of time, any point of day, 24/7. You need someone to chat with, we'll chat with you at 2 o'clock in the morning. Someone is going to be available for you. That's absolutely fine. But if you're going to chat with someone at 2 o'clock in the morning, then we have to look at your sleeping regulation as well, right? So it's not really normal. But yeah, but if you really need to, then you can certainly speak to us. We also have this one-to-one consultation. Like you can actually scan that particular QR code right now, and you can scan to book. So if you want to even book a session with me, um, personally one-to-one, teaching you how to do all these stretches, you can. But this is not just limited to me. You have also mental health coaches, consultants who are actually able to help you out with that, right? Number three, you have the free emotional well-being assessment. What you can do is that you can actually scan that QR code right now, and then you can start doing that assessment. It probably takes you about a couple of minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, but it's going to give you a little bit of a sense of your own personal mental well-being, whether you have certain symptoms that could lead towards stress, or maybe that could lead towards depression and anxiety. And this particular assessment is going to give you that insight a little bit more, right? And the next one would be the Naluri web and the app. If you get on the app, I'm one of the fitness coaches on the app. So if you want to chat with me, you can. So you can scan and you can actually download the app, or you can use the web version. Um, and yeah, we can do a little bit of chat. If you don't want to talk to me on a one-to-one consultation, you can, chat with me, talk to me, and I'll be able to give you all these movements. I'll even record myself and share it if you want to, right? So these are some of the things that we do. And yes, let's get connected. So for those who don't have the Naluri, have not followed the Naluri social media platforms, please do so. Follow us in Facebook and also in Insta, and we'll be happy to connect with you. And I think after this, what we're going to do is that we're going to pull another poll out, right, Felicia, if I'm not mistaken, and how we did before we get to the Q&A.
Yeah, we do have a feedback question as well. Right. So while you're giving your feedback, perhaps we can also be just jumping into some of the questions from the
Sure.
beginning. All right. Right. So I think what Zuraimi and Adrian have asked just now, yeah, stretching is may not be considered as an exercise. Of course, an exercise, if it's according to WHO, you need to have a certain increase of heart rate, different load, and we are recommended to do definitely 3 to 5 times exercise a week. So stretching is usually done before and after, and also of course for pain relief as well. So it may not be considered a full-on exercise unless of course you probably go into a full-on yoga session for an hour, so it has to be a certain duration of time. So if you are doing a quick 1 to 2 minutes, it's movement, but it may not be considered as an exercise. And Adrian also asked about stretching exercise, which we have actually given the demo by Sashi just now. So that 1 to 2 minutes of free time, I think we are right on that. Okay, perhaps because Sashi is also like very well versed with weight loss, right? So Karenisa is asking, can regular stretching help to lose exercise? And is there any best stretching exercise for different body types, if any?
Right. Thank you, Felicia. Can regular stretching help to lose body weight? Um, the high level answer is no. So body weight is highly dependable on your meal intake, on your calorie intake, the type of food that you take, and also it depends on your metabolic rate, which is very highly related to your muscle mass in your body, right? So losing weight probably not, but it will help you to move better to lose weight. So that means you don't have limitations to do certain activities that can help you to lose weight better, right? So it helps in that sense, but directly does not affect. Can you recommend best stretching exercise for different body types, if any? I can certainly do, but I don't think that I have the right environment here for me to share with you, Karunisa. But what you can do is that you can reach out to us in Naluri, right? You can either chat with me or you can send me a, consultation invitation, and I'll be more than happy to demonstrate that live with you or do it together with you as well.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Sashi. So Rafida mentioned about metabolism rate. She said that her rate is high even though at idle state. Great. That is like one of the most important things. Right, you want to be our metabolic rate, but don't worry that stretching actually does not. I mean, it indirectly does affect metabolic rate, but it's not the major driver of a calorie burn. You still need to look into your, your food intake, your lifestyle in general, your strength training, your cardio. So definitely, that will definitely affect it the most compared to just stretching. Um, but this is a really good question. I think there's a few of this as well. Is there a limit for stretching, Sashi?
Yes, certainly there is a limit for stretching, right?
All right.
Overstretching your body, overstretching your muscles, actually allows your muscles to be elongated too much, which means performance are actually not there, right? Your muscles should be elastic enough and not either stretched or too tight. Stretching helps to make it, untight it, but if it gets too loose, it's also going to limit performance and injury as well. So everything has a limit. So you need to know the right type of stretching that you need to do before and after an exercise, and also you need to understand that too much of something isn't that good as well. So if you ask me, limit to about 20 seconds per stretching, limit to one per body part at once. So if you're going to stretch your shoulder, you do one stretching for your shoulder a day. You're going to stretch your core, your midsection, then do one. If you have to stretch your legs, you do one. Your glutes, you do one. Those kind of things.
Yeah, love that advice. It's everything in moderation. I think that's my takeaway from that as well. Yeah, and then you mentioned that you do want to touch a little bit on static and dynamic stretching. So perhaps you can um, answer that as well.
Yeah, so I think it was Benjamin's question earlier, right? Dynamic.
Correct. Mm.
Yeah. So actually, there's three type of stretching, right? There is static, dynamic, and also something called a ballistic stretch, right? So static stretch is actually very good for you to do post your exercise, right? So when you're exercising, your muscle get hits up, it shrinks, it gets injured, so you need to build it or bring it back to a normal state. So you hold the position for a little bit more longer, right? So that is static stretch. Static stretch means holding a stretch at a specific position for a minimum of 20 seconds. That's what we call a static stretch. And when it comes to dynamic stretch, you are stretching your muscles, but in the rate of movement. Example, right? So I want to stretch my shoulder. What usually people teach is to hold this. This is what we call a static stretch, right? So we hold this position so we can stretch the shoulder around this part. But the same thing, if I'm swinging, right, and keep on swinging my arm, if you can see, this is also a stretch. I still feel the stretch, but I'm not limiting to holding it in one position. I'm actually making a swing. Why am I doing that? I'm creating the heat in the muscle so that the muscle gets prepared for doing what any kind of activity or exercise that you're going to do after that, right? So if you look at athletes, especially sprinters, if you look at the Olympic Games and sprinters and all that, before they run, they will swing their arms, they will swing their legs, right? And that is actually to get more blood flow to your muscles so your muscles can perform at an optimum level. So that's dynamic. Okay, then we come to ballistic, right? So ballistic stretch is what you see that they do right before they run. They jump up, they jump, right? They jump, they jump, they jump. So all this jumping is stretching everything in your body, and it's very high impact, and it's very high, what do you call that? Force that is being emitted out. So that's called the ballistic stretch. So that functions differently. That gives you the boost for your muscle to have that split second movement. So there's three type of stretches, Benjamin. Yeah, I hope that answers the question.
All right, great. I think we got an extra point today. Very nice. So great. I think this is also a very interesting one. How can we encourage a stretching culture in a busy workplace? City, that's a really good question. I think sometimes it doesn't start with with entire organization, right? Probably just start with yourself. When you start doing some movement, you also inspire the person next to you, right? So I think it starts small. It doesn't need to start in a big way, and just a good reminder prompts like maybe having a stretching session in the pantry or something like that. You can definitely be reminded of to be encouraged to do a stretch. So I hope that helps. And let's see. Okay. What can I do to relieve neck stiffness when I wake up from my sleep in the morning? Fauzan is asking. How
Okay,
would
so
you?
Fauzan, sure. Alicia, so Fauzan, this could be due to many reasons. It could be your pillow, which is too hard, that can cause stiffness to your neck. It could be a sleeping position as well. But I need to understand why the stiffness actually happens, because if it's about your pillow, then you have to change it so that the stiffness goes away, right? So it might not naturally be a postural deviation or a postural related matter. But on a high level, I can actually share with you how to relieve stiffness, right? So when you want to relieve stiffness, you have to go on what we call the static stretch earlier, right? The static stretch that I was demonstrating earlier, that you hold a certain position. So again, if your neck is stiff on the right side, you have to do it on the left. So you got to go and you got to stretch it down and hold this position as much as possible, right? If you feel the stiffness on your right. So hold it about 15, 20 seconds or more, and then get to the other side and hold it down. So similar movements, but you're going to do the static stretch instead of the dynamic stretch, because you're not going to do any exercise after that. You're just going to create the flexibility and relieve the pain um, after you wake up, right? So that's basically what you need to do.
All right. I think that's great because you also need to allow time for recovery as well. So it's like how we go for a deep tissue massage, for example. Is we definitely do not want to overuse that as well. So that's a really good point. And just to follow up on that question, I think Kimberly has also brought up something, and I think some of the questions are also in that similar. If parts of our body like ankle and knees are bending or turning, it's making that cracking or noise, right? And when we stretch or move, should we continue making those movements or should we stop? Like, what do you think?
Okay, so Kimberly, I think there's a few other reasons to that, and it's not really a bad one. It could be hydrogen pops in your joints. Could happen because of a lot of things, and one of the reasons is because you are not stretching enough, right? And you're not doing a lot of movements, and you're not getting enough muscle engagement around your ankle. And probably your shoes are not the right shoes for the type of foot that you have, right? So it could be a lot of reasons. As long as it doesn't give you pain, the popping noise is not going to harm you, right? So it's all right to continue doing it.
All right. Yeah, that's good reassurance because I think a lot of us are like, oh, I think something cracked. Is it because of that I'm overdoing it? So I think important thing is to always listen to your body because there's so many different things could also be the factor whether we are not consistent enough or probably we just have a tight muscle. Sometimes you want to look into your stress levels as well. And probably if you need time it's time for you to change your pair of shoes, for example, because it supports your posture and things like that. And definitely you want to work on what Benjamin says, right? You work on your shoulder mobility. You continuously do consistent stretches that will actually help you to improve and probably hopefully less cracking and less noises, right? All right. And I think there's one, maybe got time for one question. Are there ways to boost our metabolism? I mean, right off my mind is basically there's no magic to it. I feel as much as we want to just put the we want to point our fingers to like, oh, it's the age, you can't help it. But I believe that the we don't age as we do inevitably we age, but I feel like we do have certain controls, definitely on the lifestyle part. Is the way you move your body, is the way you handle manage your stress, is the way you eat, is everything that you do in your daily life, right? So definitely include the strength training. From a women's perspective also, I believe that we often run away or very scared of like doing strength exercises because we're afraid like we're going to build a lot of muscles, but not actually. We actually do improve our metabolism by maintaining our muscle mass. So I believe Sashi has some points for that as well, and how to boost our metabolism.
Sure, sure, sure. Like we have to understand what metabolism is in order for us to maintain our metabolism or boost our metabolism, right? Metabolism is simply the rate of energy utilization in your body effectively. So when you have higher metabolism rate, it literally means that you're utilizing energy a lot more effectively in your body, right? And how are you going to utilize the energy? What in your body is utilizing energy? There are only three things in your body that utilizes energy. One is your muscle, another one is your fat, another one is your liver, right? You definitely don't want your fat cells to utilize energy because then it stores inside, right? You don't want your liver to take up too much of energy. Uncontrollable energy intake in your liver could also cause in so many other complications in your body. So you want to make sure that your muscle is using energy effectively. So two things you got to do. You got to do more movement so that your muscle moves more for utilization of energy, or you do better movements to increase the percentage of muscle in your body, then everything you do is going to use a lot of energy. So when you don't have good muscle mass, you need to work harder to increase metabolism. When you have more muscle mass, it basically means that there are more things that uses up energy from your body, more things that are using up your fats, right? So the whole idea is to get more muscle, and when you get more muscle, just sweeping, walking, going shopping instead is going to burn a lot more energy than you think it will, right? So that's the whole idea. And again, Felicia, I support your notion for highlighting that woman you can't build muscle big enough. I go to the gym every day. I don't look like a bodybuilder, right? So it's not easy unless you have drugs that are involved for you to get into that stage, right? So don't worry, you're going to be in the best shape if you actually start with strength training or weight trainings.
Okay, great. I think that kind of nicely wrapped up our Q&A session. But I would say that for me, it's very simple. I would say link the stretch that you already do, whether it's waiting in the car to pick up your kid, or while waiting for your coffee to brew, while just before you go into a meeting, or after you finish a session with Naluri, for example, you can just do a quick stretch. There is no hard and fast rule to when you are supposed to do this. You can just do something, just start something, right? So what about you, Sashi?
Yeah, I think that's an awesome advice, Felicia. Right? The same thing. I'm not going to say anything better than that. That's actually very well said. But I'm also going to say ensure that you practice habit stacking, right? So habit stacking is very very important. If you want to do it among your colleague, you can, right? So every 1 hour, put a timer on your phone or anywhere. Every 1 hour, make it a point that every 1 hour in your calendar you block 2 to 3 minutes or 5 minutes, in your calendar. So when you start doing it, then everybody in your team has to do it, and make it a challenge. If nobody does it, find them. They have to probably buy snacks for the entire healthy snacks. Yeah, maybe nuts, right, for the entire tranche. So do that. So that's going to help you to be accountable, and make sure that everybody gets into that mood. And once that becomes a habit, then you don't have to worry about it. It's going to happen quite seamlessly.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much. Yeah, definitely set a timer for that. So there you go. We have something for a little sharing for you. I hope you enjoy this. Start small, start consistent. Your body will definitely thank you, even for that 20-second stretch that Sashi showed us just now. And there you go. You have the handout for you to download as well. So thank you so much for your feedback. And then thank you so much for joining us in this session. We are very, very honored to be part of your little sharing today. Yeah, hopefully to inspire you to stretch right, recover faster, and perform better. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a
Thank you,
good
Sashi.
day. Thank you, Felicia. Bye.
Bye.